Alright, I feel like I have to redo this because of how awful my last quiz was. So now I can actually show you that I really understand it. So show that cosine of 3 theta equals 4 cosine to the third theta minus 3 cosine theta, or any problem like that. Okay, we can do this using this fancy triangle right here, which is actually written correctly, unlike my last quiz. So I labeled over here that if it were squared, we'd use this row, cubed, we'd use this row to the fourth, this row to the fifth, this row, etc. It goes on and on and on. Okay, so I wrote everything out first. So cosine of 3 theta can also be written as cosine of theta plus I sine of theta to the third power, which if you write out is this big thing. I underlined where I got the coefficients from 1, 3, 3, 1 from the row third because it's to the third, 1, 3, 3, 1. As you can see, it starts with cosine third, second one has cosine squared, then cosine, then no cosine in the last term, and sine is the opposite, so sine of third, sine squared, sine, and no sine in the first one, and the i's are along with the sine, obviously. So since it's cosine, you can ignore the imaginary part, so you only care about this term and this term because I squared equals -1. So then we get cosine of 3 theta from the first term minus, from that I squared, 3 cosine theta sine squared theta right here. From there you can simplify it using cosine squared theta plus sine squared theta equals 1. Substituted that in for sine squared theta, you get cosine cubed theta minus 3 cosine theta plus 3 cosine cubed theta. Gosh, so many letters and words, gosh. So that equals this, which is what you're showing. So pretty much for anything like this, you would just figure out what power it's to, figure out what row you need, and then for cosines, you'd use the first term and this term, and this term. You wouldn't use the ones that have the i's that aren't an even power. And the opposite would be true for if this were sine. So pretty much anything in this form could be done using this really easily. You wouldn't exactly have to write everything out. You could skip right to this part if you can just look at it and figure it out. So yeah, there we go.